It's my great pleasure to introduce Stewart Greenberg and Mark Stone to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve.
This is a case that we're going to discuss today, Roberto Perez. Tell us a little bit about what happened to Roberto.
It's a really sad story. Roberto is, as a result of what happened to him, one of the walking wounded. What happened to him, he was doing his job as a delivery man, delivering products to a restaurant in a high-rise office building in downtown Miami in the summer of 2004. And through no fault of his own, they have a door, or a set of doors that was about 10 feet high, each door weighing about 250 pounds, with the improper hinges on the door. And as he was standing there talking to the manager, a door fell off its hinges, hit him in the head, knocked him out, knocked out some teeth. And as a result of that, he had a closed head injury. And you got to remember, back in 2004, society wasn't as aware as they are today of post-concussive syndrome and closed head injuries, because now we've studied more as a result of what's happened to the soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. So we really had to prove that this man had a closed head injury and as a resulting brain injury.
Mm-hmm. And how did you do that? How did you go about doing that?
Well, we had him tested by neuropsychologists, because not every brain injury shows up on a CAT scan or an X-ray or an MRI. And neuropsychological testing gets to go to the core of the brain and tests a person's cognitive abilities. Plus the fact the family in this case gave us information and gave the doctors information about a change in Roberto's personality, a change in his habits. And just talking to him, you could see that the light was out of his eyes. You could see that he was bewildered, he was confused. And this wasn't the person that everybody knew before this.
So he changed dramatically.
Yes, he did.
We have a day-in-the-life video clip of his sons talking about him and how that change happened and what he used to be like. So I'm going to go to that right now.
When I found my father that same night after the accident, he was very down. He wasn't himself. He barely walked. You had to help him out of the car and to the sofa. He didn't talk. He didn't look at you straight in the eyes.
Since that moment, he's not the same. I can say basically, most of the people that know him, my friends and I.
He's been turned inside out. One moment you're speaking with Roberto, and suddenly he has a blank gaze.
About these closed head injuries, we have some video of some of the doctors who actually diagnosed what went on with him. And I believe one of them is Dr. Ken Fischer, who's a neurologist, and another doctor is Dr. Fernando Gonzalez, who is a psychiatrist. And I want to show the clip so we can make comments about them first. So let's go to Dr. Fischer right now.
He has had consistent difficulty with his memory and cognition, getting forgetful, confused, disoriented. He can't put things together. He's been unable to work. His headaches have been extraordinary. He's a shadow of the person he was at this time before the accident. He had residual symptoms, including headaches, dizziness, loss of balance and equilibrium, and severe depression. These symptoms have persisted over the last several years. He'd be left with these set of symptoms, the headaches, the confusion, the depression, reduced cognition, indefinitely. His future is having persistent symptoms requiring substantial help the rest of his life.
I believe that Mr. Perez feels very bad that his son is taking care of him. Sometimes he does resent that because he feels bad, he feels frustrated and guilty and ashamed. I've seen him for a long time, and I think he has a major depression, single episode, severe, at times with psychotic features. The signs and symptoms that he's displaying are consistent with the traumatic brain injury and subsequent major depressive disorder.
Now that we've listened to what they've said, does the other side, the folks that you're suing, do they have their own witnesses who have completely different analysis of Roberto Perez's condition?
Sure, Steve. You know, in every case, the defendant's not just going to sit there and roll over. They're going to hire experts of their own, many of whom have long affiliations with the insurance companies who are representing these defendants. So we understand that it's a battle all the way up to and through, including trial. But you know, that's why when we take a case, we want to vet the case, make sure that the doctors who are treating our particular plaintiffs or our particular clients are also well credentialed.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting point. The other side gets doctors who have a long affiliation with insurance companies. Now, they're not employed by the insurance companies, are they?
No, they're not.
Can you bring up, because I remember the verdict, can you bring up a situation where a doctor has testified 1,000 times for the same insurance company? Can you bring that out in court?
Well, first of all, we're not allowed to talk about insurance in Florida.
Okay.
So the jury has to be smart enough to understand that these big companies have insurance coverage. But we could certainly talk about how many times the doctor has worked on behalf of defendants and how much money he has earned as a result of that on an annual basis.
You can bring that out in court.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
To show this doctor's prejudice and the direction in which he testifies.
Do some doctors make a significant amount of money per year, and what would that amount of money
There
be?
are doctors in this community that make between $500,000 and $1 million and
Just
$1 million
testifying.
a year just testifying.
Never putting the white coat on.
Well, they put the white coat on, but they never treat the patient. They don't operate on the patient. They don't prescribe medication.
So they're making $1 million a year.
Some do, yes.
Steve,
Wow.
there are doctors in this community and in Florida who make upwards of 95% of their income is derived from doing medical legal evaluations on behalf of defendants and insurance companies.
Yeah. We are going to show a clip right now of who Roberto Perez was, the personality that he was. We're also going to show how those roles have been reversed. I want to show the contrast here.